move.
Together we are but first coffee. Susie's just our host, but what matters most is we are a team. Together we are all safe here, and so are you. Among friends and mods we are safe. We talk about trauma, break down drama of life, death, happy or sad, even mad. We discuss it all here. Together we will thrive, not just survive. We will dry each other's tears, celebrate big or small wins, and chase away the fears. Together we fight cults or fight addictions. If not with experience, with love, and we don't judge. Please understand, this is a safe place to land. Please understand, you're not alone. This is a safe place to land. Together we thrive, not just survive. We will dry each other's tears, celebrate big or small wins, and chase away the fears. Because we are but first coffee, and Susie welcomes us all here. Together we are but first coffee, and Susie.
Hey, everybody. Look, I got a crowd with me tonight. I want you to welcome John and Ben and Richard and Christy. We are going to talk about spirituality and love and a little bit of religion, on how they kind of all interact. And I don't know. I said I'm the dumbest one in the room tonight. So I'm going to have to see what they have to say about it. So anyway, I'm going to just say hi to the chat real quick. I want to do that, and then we are going to get started. So Misha, it is glad to see. I'm so glad to see you. Heat my shorts. Good to see you. Christy's on the stage. Ben is on the stage. Let's see here. Just Tiff, good to see you again. You were here earlier, so that's always fun. Heat my shorts. Good to see you too. Let's see here. Indigo is here. Yeah, I'm also very excited to hear people's perspective. Yeah, you have such a journey yourself, and it really is interesting to hear other people's experiences. I agree 100%. Yeah, and don't forget, y'all, that next Thursday we're discussing difficult conversations. So if you have any kind of experience with difficult conversations, whatever those might be, email me and let's get you on the live and hear your story. I love doing that. Let's see here. Going down here pretty quick. I think I said hi to Heat My Shorts, but if not, hello,
Yep.
Steve. Indigo Twins. Oh, I said hi to her too. See, my brain's not braining, I'm telling you. I think I've got just about everybody. Oh, yeah, Marilee's here.
Big sis.
Indigo says, I have a new couch coming, and my living room will finally be presentable to host people after living here almost 4 years.
Wow.
Wow.
Good for you. Good for you. That's
good.
exciting. So let's see. I think that's about everybody. I think. Am I missing somebody? Mark's over there being a smart ass.
Good evening, Mark.
Yeah, he said he's the audience. He's over there. I think he's like he's like maybe a troll.
He's the heckler.
Yeah, he's the heckler.
You're the comedian, he's the heckler.
Oh, no. He said one couch ain't gonna sit a whole lot of people. Well, it depends. Look how big our couch is. It's quite a few people.
If I ever invite you on the couch right now, and we're just fine.
Yeah. Okay, how's everybody doing?
Pretty good.
Doing good?
Good.
Anxious for this, very
Doing
anxious for the
good.
conversation.
I am too. I am too. I can't wait. I'm really excited.
Mhm.
Yeah, mine is too, Indigo. It's a L-shaped couch and can sit at least 3. Oh, well, probably sit more than that. I could probably sit 6 on or 8 on mine if they snuggle up. 2 people and 3 dogs and a cat. So I'm going to ask for Richard to just kind of start us off a little bit, if you would, with kind of where you were talking about last week, if you don't mind.
Well, that's going to be kind of interesting.
Can you
Because
remember what we were talking
remember
about?
where I was. And starting off where we left off would kind of require everybody else to remember that.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, if
I,
you can
I
just,
remember enough, Rich, to remember that,
yeah.
what we were
Everybody's
talking about.
nodding. Everybody's
Yeah.
nodding.
Yeah. Well,
So
one
what
of
we were
the
talking about at the end was one of the things that I was fascinated about with a man with your education level and your level of religious both belief and knowledge,
Mhm.
because I'm an educated man and I also consider myself to be a religious man. And I have a lot of difficulty with the love portion because everything in my brain and everything that I've been taught through my religion tells me that Jesus was a man who taught love. He preached love for your fellow man, love for the less fortunate. And the way that we have bastardized that into wars fought in the name of God and the horrible atrocities that we have committed against our fellow man in the name of God. Just how do we reconcile those two things, and how did it all go so wrong?
reconciling it is going to be kind of hard, and how it went so wrong is, well, that's a matter of debate, and there's a bunch of channels, discussing things like that. And
Mhm.
unfortunately, not all of them are actually even believers. One of the ones that really involves a lot of biblical scholars is actually the one that pulled me into this whole thing in the first place. It's called Myth Vision,
Mhm.
but that person is actually an atheist, but he also brings in a bunch of scholars, Bart Ehrman and a bunch of folks who have been, biblical scholars and things. Um,
Mhm.
and it's just important, especially with respect to the Bible, to remember that it is an assemblage of stories that were written at
Mhm.
different times for different audiences.
Right. And
Mhm.
we did touch on that a little bit in the last
Yeah, we did.
conversation.
Yeah.
And
You
the
know,
thing is that even from my perspective, which I'm a believer, I consider myself to this day to still be a Christian,
mhm.
but a lot of people that even if they are not a believer in God, they still believe in Jesus. They still believe that he was here and that he did what he did.
Mhm.
Maybe they don't believe everything, but they believe his teachings and stuff, that he taught those things and that he, you know, embodied those things. And
Mhm.
so that, that I keep the love part because, you know, I believe that Jesus was about love, that he was the personification basically of love.
Mhm.
My hard part comes in whenever like we talk about the Old Testament because God just seems so mean and we're supposed to
He's a
this is
vengeful
supposed to be
God.
our father, and we're supposed to love God and all that, and yet he's kind of mean sounding in the Old Testament,
Yeah,
and
he's a vengeful God in the Old Testament for sure.
yeah.
And
And
one of
so
the things about, because Rich and I are both Catholics,
mhm,
so Catholics believe that man is not saved through faith alone.
mhm,
Right.
It is our good acts that determine our viability as to whether or not we get into heaven. And
mhm,
those acts are acts of love and acts of kindness for people who are less fortunate or
mhm,
people in need. And
mhm.
I've had such a hard time in my life reconciling some of the horrible things that we have done as a
Absolutely.
society in the name of God's love. It blows my mind where it all went off the rails. I think
Well,
Rich I
yeah,
think Rich
I'm
had
not
some
sure
good
that's
perspectives on it.
God's love or was it power? Because if you look at it, the Catholic Church was the predominant political power in Europe throughout the
Mhm.
Dark Ages.
Mhm.
And they weren't really interested in teaching love. They were interested in power and money. And if you didn't like to follow along with whatever they said, they kind of had a barbecue.
Yeah.
Um,
Mhm.
and it was,
Mm.
it wasn't exactly the type of thing which, I think things have kind of been turned around on them as they've lost donors and things like that, and as churches have, begun to close, where it's looking much more at, well, what are we teaching and how do we retain people and what's going on versus do what we say.
Right.
Mhm.
Um,
Right. And I'm going to take it in a whole other direction.
That's
for
why I
you all.
wanted you here.
That's why we wanted you here, Christy.
okay, this is
I'm
going to be a
going
We want
to
to
take
hear it
this
from every
in
side.
a,
this is
Yeah.
going to be a really fun night for
Yeah,
this
I
type
think
of
so,
reason
too.
and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I hope that the chat gets involved as well, because this
I do
is a really
too.
important topic.
you hope that what's involved?
The chat.
I hope that the chat gets involved
Oh,
as
the
well,
chat.
because it's a really
Oh,
good
okay.
conversation to have, and I'd like to hear all the perspectives.
Yeah. Okay, so as you guys know, I was in the church for 30 years and I left, and I am now spiritual. And so I think most of you have probably figured out what that means as far as my practices and things like that. But today I was thinking about love, and I wasn't thinking about it in the sense of God and Jesus. I think that it's really easy to lump a lot of things together because we're taught that this is this and this is kind of like the flow chart of it.
Mhm.
So, to touch on real quick, and then I'm going to continue on with my thought, to touch on real quick about the wars and things fought in God's name, absolute power corrupts absolutely. And people will use whatever name is easy to attach something to get them behind a thing. So, there was a person with a funky little mustache in Germany that did it. And so, you're able to, if you can get people focused and on that authority and involved in that, and you can reach their sense of tribe, then you can get them to follow along with anything. They would have followed along if it was Peter Piper,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But
Sure.
as I was thinking about love today, I was thinking about how I work with love, and it's kind of it's a very different way of working with it. And I hope I'm not off base in sharing this, but a lot of times when people come to me, they're looking for answers about love, and they're wanting a tarot reading around love. Does this person love me? They're wanting spells. Can you give me a spell to make this person love me? Can you, I mean, and I'm serious, and people
Sure.
are absolutely just, I had somebody that I know ask if I could close their heart so that they couldn't love anymore because they were so hurt and so broken. So when people come to me with love, it is coming from a place of desperation.
Desperation,
It's
yeah.
coming from a place of not having love in their life or even for themselves. And so for me, that conversation when I work with clients, whether it's somebody with tarot or somebody that I'm coaching and helping out, we start with love. When you have a spiritual awakening or a religious awakening, it starts with your heart. You can't have any kind of true understanding if your heart is not open. And the Bible talks about it, and it says, it talks about a hard heart and not to have a hard heart. And so, as you look at the chakras, which are energy points in our bodies, the first one that always opens is your heart. Your heart always explodes with love. It's always the first thing that opens. And the first thing that I think, and the most important thing that I teach and I share, it doesn't matter to me. And I respect everybody here, religious, all of it. I respect it. I get it. And I have utmost respect for it. But it does not matter because it has to start with yourself. You can't
Absolutely.
show somebody how to love you if you can't love yourself. You
Yeah.
can't heal yourself if you don't love yourself. And let's even, and I know where Ben's going to go with this, so I'm not going to step all over him about this. But what is trauma? Trauma is trauma is the it's not the act that was done to it, but it's our body's response to said act, right? That's why different things traumatize people differently.
Right.
But ultimately what that is it's an absence of love. People
Mhm.
do not get traumatized because somebody showed and expressed them healthy love.
Right.
And I think, go back to the wars, we have free will. And the one thing that God is so big on is you don't step on that. You don't
Yeah.
step on it in the witchy world. You don't step on it in religion. You don't take that away. And I will tell you, I have seen some witchy people who have stomped all over free will, and y'all, it did not go well in any way. So the other part of it is when we have free will, that free will, I can enact my free will on each of you in whatever way I see fit. And the moment that God steps in to intervene, it's the moment that God goes against how he sees free will, because he wants you to come to him freely. He wants you to love him and accept him freely. And the moment he intervenes, he steps on that, and that makes him fallible. And he can absolutely never be fallible. And so I think where people get wrapped around the axle, in my opinion, is you're trying to take all of these 5 things and combine it into one, when really you need to look at, okay, what is love? And then what is God to you, or Buddha or Allah or whoever? And then what is Jesus? And what, again, we're talking a very long time ago when people were just doing all kinds of really horrible things to other humans, and they would do it in the name of anything.
Right.
And I think sometimes we can spend so much time trying to understand this big philosophical picture that is really what is the most basic thing he's called us to do. Right now, I don't know anything about Catholics, so I'm only going to go for my Baptist background here. But to love him and to teach and preach his word to all areas of the world, so that, if you do believe that you have to say those words, because some religions do believe that they have that opportunity. But love is, I think it's the center of healing. I think it's the center of respecting yourself. I don't think that you can have that deep kind of love relationship with a higher power, whatever that looks like, if you can't love yourself and receive that love. Because when you can't love yourself, you're not able to receive it. So then you're having a situation where God might be pouring his love into you, or universe or spirit or whatever that is for you in the chat. But if you're not able to receive, if I'm not able to receive love from my husband, from my kids, from my friends, how am I going to receive God's love? Right?
Yeah.
How am I going to receive that healing? And so I think a lot of understanding it is what's ours to understand, and then how do you pick it apart? Because I do think on some level you kind of have to pick it apart a little bit and be like, at the end of all of it is love. So that's really what he wants us to do. So it doesn't matter that he was vengeful in the Old Testament.
Yeah.
We're not under the Old Testament anymore.
Absolutely.
Like
Right.
we're not under those rules.
Yeah.
Right. But also, from what I was talking about last time, was also about people modeling God and, basically kind of projecting upon God their own, part of it is like, think of parents, other powers, or, who's controlling them.
Yeah.
And that's what they project onto God.
Mhm.
And so if you look back then, you're in a a place where it's very hard to live. It's dry, it's arid,
Yeah.
there's wars. Everybody's
Right.
trampling through your country back and forth from one side and the other, conquering one way and the other.
Right.
It's not a big surprise that their kind of perception of gods was angry and getting squished and everything, because that's what happened to them on a regular basis.
Right. Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
All right.
and
Time for the
think
Ben
what's
Turner
important-
effect.
Well, and I just want to say one more thing. I think what's important to remember too is that in the Old Testament, we were still under the blood sacrifice. And so things were done, well, okay, according to how I was raised. I don't know Catholic,
Yeah.
so I
Right.
don't,
No,
maybe
very
that is
similar.
not a thing.
Mhm.
But, we were under the blood sacrifice, and as soon as Jesus showed up, that all went away. So
Other
I
than
think it
the
allowed for a softening.
what I want isn't sacrifice, but you do change your hearts. Yeah.
Yeah.
There was that in there.
Good
I
point.
mean,
Good
like,
point. There
I
was
think
that.
And again, going back to the heart being open, how much more love can you show? I mean, God, thank God none of us were asked to do with our children what
Mhm.
was required of Jesus and what was
Yes.
required of God, right? And
Yeah.
so, but I think, I think that for me, love is just that it's the healing point. It's the starting point. And I think everything flows from there. So I didn't mean to step all over Ben.
No, that's
So
We're not sure if Ben's going to talk anyway. Come on.
Oh, he's going to talk.
Once we get him started.
Yeah.
Wow, there's
There's so
There
much to
is-
unpack there, Ben.
tons. Oh my gosh. Okay. Whew, a lot of angles there. So many ways to go with it, but
Yeah.
you know,
Take your
love.
time, buddy.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. It's like here, explain time. That kind of thing. But explain the word why.
Mhm.
Okay, yeah, but from some standpoints, love in and of itself involves several regions of the brain. We know this.
Mhm.
They know this. I'll use the term they. Should make Indigo happy, at least in that respect. But no sarcasm meant there. But yeah, there's several areas of the brain that get activated in the pursuit of love. One would be like the ventral tangial part of the brain. That part tends to deal with, it tends to give you the urge to protect, to to use a word from, I think it was Charlie Sheen, winning, when you like achieving goals, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Then you have the nucleus accumbens. This is all in this, I need to get a brain model, a 3D brain model, because on a diagram it
Yeah.
doesn't really work. But this is all in the center of your brain. Basically, right, it surrounds the amygdala and the more emotional centers. But what the nucleus accumbens does is it's the part where pursue, protect, and maintain a connection. Then gosh, there's a lot of parts. The caudate nucleus. That would be for the part of the reward system of the brain. When I do this, I get this.
Mhm.
And you have all this stuff going on where you have a lot of dopamine. And I don't care if it's, if it's a love for another person, if it's a love for brotherly love, leho. The Greeks had 5 words for love, I believe, maybe 6. But brotherly love, romantic love, and of course, and then a perfect love would be the oh gosh, what was perfect love? Huh?
Fine though.
agape.
Yeah, agape. Gee
Agape.
whiz. my memory is not what it used to. What's the word that ends with?
His brain's not braining either.
But
Something's wrong with his medulla oblongata.
but among these, you have also you with true love, you have oxytocin, which is released, and that and desupressin. What oxytocin will do is it will basically lower fear,
Uh-oh.
and it raises the trust factor involved with other people.
Uh-oh.
And then vasopressin, that is more of pair bonding type chemical where it makes you want to be with this person,
Yeah.
be with this cat. I mean, it does several other things, of course, regulates some hormones and does other things. But these two together also help to calm in times where you're really, you get that amygdala going. This helps to tamper that down and activate the forward reasoning centers of the brain. As for why good people do bad things in the name of, all it takes is just one person seizing that power, and they begin to get a love for that power more so than a love for the thing that they were serving, the thing or the person they were serving. And we're people that were driven by, and Christy touched upon this, I say it a lot, the fate model: focus, authority, tribe, and emotion. This is how we are influenced. And it's very easy when somebody's in a position of power, you get that authority kicking in. It's like, I want to follow them. You think about, I'll bring up an example that I know I've also used several times, the Milgram experiment, because somebody brought up the man with the little, I don't know if I can even say his name, the Third Reich. I think I can say it that way. Somebody brought up that. And in part of the trial, it came out that I was only doing what I was told. Well, there was a person who at Stanford who conducted an experiment called the Milgram experiment. And I think everybody here is familiar with that. That's where you had a person sit down at a machine. Now he was being interacted by, because all he knew was he just responded to an ad saying, we'll give you $5 and, take part in the experiment. You'll be doing your part for science, and all this other stuff. So this person walks into a place that he's never been in, that he's seeing people he's never seen before, doing an experiment which he's never been a part of. So these are all new to him. This is the novelty aspect, which increases focus. That's the F in fate, focus. You got this person's focus. Then you have authority. You have a guy in a lab coat, actually a very tall, imposing figure that acts very stoic. And he just tells these people, there's a point where they turn this machine on and they believe, the other person behind the other side of the screen's an actor, they believe that they're delivering shocks. And the guy even yells. And one of the things that they said was at the onset, they said that less than, I think they said like between 3 and 1% of people would go all the way, as far as all the way up to the machine. And like about 3/4 of the way through this, the guy's saying, I have a heart condition, please stop. I can't do this anymore. And about 3/4 of the way through, he stops yelling. And the person who's delivering the shocks says, what do we do here? I'm concerned about the guy. And all the guy in the lab coat would do is to say, it's important you continue. Please continue. A non-answer is seen as an incorrect answer. And so the guy would just keep shocking. And I think at the end, it was 60% of the people went all the way up the board. And the last switch
57.
it was, almost 60, but it was at the very end, the switch was marked with an ominous XXX, basically death. But 100% of the people went above 200 amps, which would kill anybody. You know, that going across your heart would just kill you. But again, you had focus and authority. You had tribe because they were told, you know, we have done this with other people. So you had all the unseen people that were a part of this. You're doing this for science kind of thing. And of course you had emotion in there too. You know, the guy saying, you know, you have to continue. They're having contradicting emotions, but the emotions are still there. And that just shows how we're animals that we like tribe. We have this instilled in us because to be outcast from the tribe meant to lose resource. You basically, a lot of times, people who were ostracized from their tribe, most of them didn't live and live long enough to reproduce. And I happen to know that all your ancestors lived long enough to reproduce. 100% of them did. I guarantee you that.
Yeah.
So, you know, we have this instilled in us, this genetic memory. That can be a very powerful thing, and it's very easy. It is incredibly easy if you have the right triggers to trigger that kind of obedience in people. When people think that they're doing something for the tribe, for the church, for God, you cannot. I mean, you talk about the ultimate authority. I mean, whether God is Allah, whether it's Odin, you know, pick from the pantheon, but you have no higher authority than that. And you know, the Catholic Church is famous for it, but other churches have done it too. We can sit here and go through various cults, and not all were necessarily towards a god, like you know, the ones who were the guys with the tennis shoes and the I can't remember what they drank, but that was in California where they were looking for the Heaven's Gate cult. I mean, there's been several cults who were kind of atheistic, or maybe not atheistic, but agnostic, I guess would be a term, that have done horrible things as well.
And Ben, you and I have had conversations about the whole groupthink mentality, and you know how that comes into play as well. Actually, Jimena made a pretty good point right here. She said that's why cults work so well, because you're doing it for the greater good.
Absolutely.
At least you think you are.
That's the mindset.
That's how they get you.
Well,
they convince you.
And I wanted to touch.
Oh no, go ahead.
I wanted to touch back to what Richard said the last time we were live. I think it was that. I don't know. I've seen so much stuff. Maybe I'm making this up, but somebody said something about the Lord of the Flies. The book, The Lord of the Flies, was that on this one? And you're
no, that was
okay.
That was me. That was previous one. That was just like going through junior high school and growing up and just like
right. And so I don't know if any of you, I mean, obviously Richard has read it, but I don't know if anybody else has read it or seen the movie.
We read it.
Brutal stuff, right?
Yeah,
I mean, it's really messed up stuff. And those kids are like young. And so when you have the ability to just do whatever crazy stuff that you can come up with in your head, I do believe that, you know, and this is something that Ben and I talk a lot about is, you know, psychopath versus sociopath and this whole antisocial personalities. But people can fall into that, not have that, not be diagnosed, but fall into that to fit in to, you know, you have the Lord of the Flies thing going on. And so I think that is really important too when you're looking at some of that really horrific stuff. I think that something like their humanity just gets set aside. Their love for people is outweighed by, well, not even empathy, just their love.
Yeah.
You know, just love of a human person. That's what keeps us from doing really bad stuff. You know, I mean, empathy, some people have it and are really great at it. Some people don't, you know, but, it just gets set aside for ego. like Carl Jung's ego, and for
Mm,
science. And I love science. But
Mhm.
when you
Yeah.
can justify something on those levels, like
mhm.
it's really, and again, it's a loss of love. It's just love leaves.
Mhm.
Especially in like the Lord of the Flies thing, you know.
And that's one thing too. Science, quote unquote. We're still they are still learning. I keep trying to throw myself in that group, and that's not intentional because I'm not a neuroscientist, or I'm not. I won't claim to be,
Mhm.
but there's something, and this touched upon some of the uh, what do you call it, metaphysical aspects that have come up with some of that stuff. There is a lot of stuff that modern science still can't explain. They do not know how something as simple as anesthesia, they know it works.
Mhm.
They don't know how. They don't know where consciousness is stored. And I've been guilty of this.
Mhm.
This one, they don't really. There's a couple different theories, and I've gone through one of them of how memories are stored. They really don't know.
Mhm.
Simple things. There's certain regions of the brain. I was talking, and of course, Christy and I were involved in uh, uh, a teaching on this, where um, there's a part of the brain, the pineal gland, which they're saying, oh, that just gives you, a sleepy drug, a melatonin. Well, now they're finding out all this other stuff about it. In some animals, it actually has light detecting rods and cones. We have the ancestors of rods and cones in our eyes still, or in our pineal gland.
Mhm.
And they're finding out all this stuff about it, and DMT. And if people keep saying, well, DMT is an hallucinogen. There's a lot of people studying it. And Chase was talking about this. Out of 800 people, 800 scientists studying it, not one has used the term hallucination when referring to DMT. This is something our brains produce, and it can give, a lot of they ran through several DMT experiences, bumped them up against the Bible. I'm not picking on the Bible. I'm just
Mhm.
saying that these experiences mirrored a lot of the same aspects. They're not floaty and weird like you would get with psilocybin with DMT, which our brain produces. And it tends to produce these in when the brain's in extreme states, be it near death or incredibly heightened emotions, all sorts of things they're finding out.
Hmm.
They the brain can produce this stuff, and it's an hallucination that can give you a complete experience where you're seeing all sorts of things, and they're not all like some puffy, oh, I saw a unicorn flying through the sky. I mean, some of it is hyper real, where
Hmm.
things are more real than even reality. I mean, things become sharpened, or vision becomes sharpened, and we feel like, we're in complete control, but this stuff's being produced by the brain, and that can lead to all sorts of religious experience. And I'm not discounting religion. I'm not doing that either. I'm just
No,
saying
we know.
that this is a factor that um a lot of people have experienced.
And people who are neurodivergent, I don't know how many of you are familiar with the telepathy tapes.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
I was just watching an update on that where one of the folks who's been producing those is talking about the next season or next generation of material, and about how there are some. There was one person who was nonverbal but could communicate via um, text, like write
Wow.
and things like that, who
Mhm.
was basically, was a medical intuitive, could diagnose like what was wrong with people, but also had the capacity to like sense things or communicate from plants. And so it could also tell that person who has such and such a condition what plants they should be taking, like astragalus or whatever it was, like something like to like help. I was like, okay, there's folks talking with plants too.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
You know, my oh, my connection's slow.
No, you're fine.
That's it. No, you're fine.
If you see me looking over here, I have
Um,
the comments on this screen, so that's the reason why.
Yeah, I do too. If you see me looking over and reading the comments, my I'm
I'm
not sure
starting
how many
laughing.
people know this. My grandson is autistic, and he's more of a savant. Like they said, he would be more of like a Sheldon Cooper type. And my daughter has OCD PD, which is obsessive compulsive personality disorder. And so my daughter's compulsions get in the way of her being able to function in everyday life. And an example of that is before she can leave the house or open a door, she's got to tap the door 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and she's got to do it in sets of 3 and 3 times. If she does it 6, she has to stop and start over.
Oh, wow.
She's got a contamination compulsion. There's all of these really intense, like really debilitating compulsions. And she was talking about my grandson, and she said, you know, I was thinking like just how awful it was and how I'm trying to get out the door, and she's got 3 kids, and she's trying to get out the door and she's trying to do all this, but her compulsions are just taking over. And she said that my grandson just looked at her and was like, it's okay, mommy, just do what you have to do. And like and he is not even 7 years old, and you know, he has learned to communicate and stuff like that, but she goes, he understands me better than any of the other kids, like any of her other kids or even her husband. She's like, there's just a something there that he understands. And it's like, of course, because he doesn't see the world through the eyes and the lenses that we do. You know, there's nothing broken. It's just wired different. And you guys are just wired different, and you're both wired different in kind of this extreme way. It's not a, you know, and when I say that it's a personality disorder, like I mean, this is not like, you know, oh, everything has to be in its place. I mean, it will take her 20 minutes to start a project sometimes, just because of the stuff she has to go through.
Yep.
And so, you know, but I think it's amazing because even though, you know, I mean, there is that little bit of telepathy, so tying it back to the telepathy tapes, but tying it back to love, even though my grandson doesn't understand love and feel love on the same level as like what her other 2 children do, there is a very deep level of love because he understands that this is just what mom does. And he's like one of the only people in the house that understands that. And so, and I think it's beautiful. So love can even come, you know, in that way. And it's amazing. And I think there's nothing more amazing than a little kid's love, or like that real, genuine, happy, authentic love, you know, and when it's not there, we notice it, like antisocial personality disorder, that it's not there. It's just not there. There's nothing there. And so I think that love is part of, you know, we, like Ben said, we don't know what consciousness is. We don't know where it's at. We don't know where it's stored. I mean, the shamans that I've studied in the Andes believe that it's your 8th chakra, which is outside of your body and right above your head. They believe that that is actually where consciousness is stored, that it's not actually stored inside of us. And you can actually open that chakra and pull it around you in all of these different ways to protect you. And that's an actual teaching that they teach, but it's based in love. Like, it's based in love. I just, and I don't think it matters if you love Jesus or God or a higher power. I think somebody say it like made them feel good to, you know, see it to feel small. It's important to feel small in that healthy way, in that way of standing the
Yeah.
beauty and awesomeness of creation, right? I don't make yourself small because of abuse, but to just
Yeah.
stand in this awe of
Be part of something that's bigger.
whatever got,
Bigger than yourself.
yeah, whatever got created and however it happened. And,
Mhm.
you know, I mean,
I agree. And I agree that it is amazing to feel, like you said, not small, like making yourself small, do like, abuse and that kind of thing, but to make yourself just a part of something, not,
right,
everything, not
right.
kind of something bigger, something more important and everything.
Yeah. I think that's, I mean,
So if we're
you
we're
know, I
getting
would
into
say,
chakras, just a couple days ago, someone who has been doing a number of programs in this direction is Maya Bialik on her channel.
Yeah.
yes,
And
love
just
her.
a couple
I've been
days
watching.
ago, they had Dr. Sue Morter on,
Mm.
who does energy healing. And she actually has in her books this big diagram of all the different chakras. And she was talking about them
So
yesterday
many.
or a couple days ago. And it was really, really interesting to see, and how she actually in the end got to also my mass kind of closing questions. And she talked about
Hmm.
basically our existence, basically us being more or less compressed love, like everything in the end comes
Hmm.
down to the source of your being is love.
Mm.
And it's just
Right.
like,
That's
and I was
actually
looking at, she's
beautiful.
talking about embodying love, and I was just kind of looking at it going, wait a minute, did I just hear this did I just say this a few days ago, but in a
Yeah.
completely different
Yeah.
format? It's
Yeah.
like everything comes
Right.
back. And one of the other things that she talks a lot about, though, which Mish will like, is healing and energy and frequencies. Everything is frequencies,
Hmm.
and about
Hmm.
how different energies in your body are communicating or not based on frequencies, and just about
Mhm.
disconnects leading to illness and things like that.
Mhm.
And
Well,
that's
there's,
that was, go ahead.
I was going to say a part of my shaman studies is you can actually tell what is attached to you based on where it's attached to you in your body. So if it's in a chakra, normal people, like if I had attachment to, like an unhealthy attachment to one of you or to my husband or somebody, that's not going to be at that soul level. So that attachment is going to be in an organ of my body, not in my chakra. If it is an attachment, and when I say attachment, I'm not talking scary demon evil entity
Yeah.
thing. Okay, that is not at all what I'm talking about. I mean, that does happen, but it's not as common as what you think. It could be an ancestor or just some hinky energy that you picked up. It's actually attached in your chakra. And when we do chakra healing, which is Reiki, um, at the basic level, and then you kind of, like shamans work at a in a different way with that, but it is still all around love. That's what Reiki is it's healing love energy. It can't
Yeah.
hurt you. And one of the first symbols that you learn, which is Chokurei, is it's a beautiful love symbol. It's the very first symbol that you learn when you're learning this. So even as you go through and you move into these different circles and you move kind of out of religion and into spirituality, those chakras are there, and it is based on love. And I love Maya Bialik. I know Ben has a love hate relationship with her. But I love the direction she has taken her channel in.
Mhm.
I think it is really beautiful because I just believe so much that when you get science and spirituality together, whether that's religion or whatever, in my case, it's spirituality, you heal the whole. You
Yeah.
can't just heal one part of yourself. It's like the medicine wheel. It's got four parts for a reason. There's the mind, there's the body, there's the soul, and there's the emotions, the spirit. And
Mhm.
if one gets out of alignment, everything else falls. And when you want to start to fix that, you start to fix that part that, is the most, defunct for whatever reason. It doesn't mean, again, you're broken or you did anything bad, but and the other ones will naturally start to come into alignment. And as we heal, we take our heart, our love. If we just worked on our throat chakra and we didn't bring our heart into it, do you guys know how brutal that could be? Like the truth that we could speak to people, the harshness, and even when people need to hear something harsh, you can still say it with love. So you kind of like, you're always kind of dragging your, what is that? Tom Petty and Stevie Nicks, like, stop dragging my heart around. You're always kind of dragging your heart around, like in a good way though. And yeah, there's so many chakras and they're so beautiful. Most of the time people just talk about the 7 basic ones, but I think there's like, what is it, like 300 and some, like, I mean, they just go out. You've got them on your palms, you've got them on your fingers. Like, there's so many, but I think for simplicity reasons, people just talk about the main 7. But even that relates back to science, because your lower 3 chakras are exactly like the first pyramids of Maslow's pyramid. It's all about survival, safety, food, protection, sex, acceptance. And then you move up that, and as you move up that and you move up into your chakras, you get to your third eye, which is psychic abilities, and then your crown, which is ultimately being able to receive source. So you move up the pyramid and you move up your chakras. Like, that's one thing that was amazing to me. I'm so passionate about this because I'm seeing so many connections where it just fits. And it's like, it's amazing. And it fits with science and it fits with love. And I don't think it matters if you're religious, if you're Catholic or Baptist or whatever you are, or if you're spiritual, even if you're atheist or agnostic. I think that love is just so important. And these things, I don't think they fit in the box of religion or spirituality. I think they're conscious. I think it's the earth energy. Like,
well, and I think that's why this was such an important conversation to have, is because I don't think any one of us truly thinks that it comes from one specific place. And that's why, I mean, I think we knew when we started to delve into this that this was going to be a multi-part conversation, because there's so many different facets to it. And I think this is just the beginning of a very long conversation.
I do too.
Yeah, I do too. Because there's so many, like you said, John, so many different directions you can take this. Part of it spirituality, part of it religion.
Absolutely.
Christy, as you mentioned Maslow, I was thinking actually about, as I was doing some of my own psychosocial growth and things like that. Scott Peck actually talked about, it's Bandler and Grinder, the same John Grinder who does the inventor of neurolinguistic programming, just kind of posited a pattern of psychospiritual growth that follows psychosocial growth. Infancy, childhood, adolescence, adulthood. I think they missed eldership actually out of that. And but he talked about how there's like, it's interesting how it's like unchurched, churched that goes along with that too. There's a pattern of being out of that when you're an infant, following along as a child, which is where I think a lot of the control-based organizations keep people or try to keep people. There's the questioning phase of adolescence where you get out of that. And then there's kind of, they mentioned going back, like, and owning and becoming like, someone who's more likely to be an elder or a contributor in church as you realize where that fit in your development. But I think for a lot of us here, what we're seeing is much more kind of an eldership thing where you're again unchurched. But the reason is because you see how each of those separate churches is a silo that limits your capacity to love the people within the silos. And if you get out and above all of them, you're not limited in who you love anymore.
Right. That's beautiful. And it's true. I did a podcast with Amber from Amber Ascends, and she actually asked me about my early childhood, which is something not a lot of people have ever really asked me about. It was really cool. I got a chance to share that experience, but she asked me if I ever questioned religion or church, and I was like, absolutely not. Until I was in my 40s, no, I did not question. And I didn't question because I'm what they call a cradle Baptist. I was born on a Thursday, I was in church on a Sunday, and I didn't leave for like 3 decades. I mean, you know, like that's a long time. And you're just taught not to question. And so when it came to my spiritual awakening, and she goes really in depth to that, and I really recommend, like, she's amazing, but if you want to learn more about me personally, she does a great job of kind of going down that rabbit hole in a really beautiful way. I didn't question it. And then when I started questioning it, then I was like, y'all, I'm crazy. Like, I done lost my mind. I have no idea, you know. And so it was really interesting. But I stepped all over Ben like 3 times. So Ben, what did you have to say?
Well, one of the points that you made was you were talking about how love activates these parts and what effect love has on us. And I was just going to point out that love, you're talking the dopamine, the same dopamine centers that respond to drugs. However, there are some differences with love. It motivates connection, not numbing. It would enhance long-term meaning, not avoidance. That's common with drugs. And it would build long-term regulation, with that activating the reasoning centers of the brain, help, because that was one of the things that we were talking about earlier with the parts that activate. When they've done functional MRIs on people who are in the quote state of love, they see something they love, they hear a song that they love, whatnot, that it activates all these parts around the amygdala, but the amygdala activity tends to go down. The amygdala would be responsible for fight or flight, hyper vigilance, that whole thing, that all the fear-based responses that we see. And love tends to, while it's activating all these centers, it tends to build long-term regulation, not withdrawal destruction that we see with drugs, where you're taking a drug. That's one of the things you do. You kind of withdraw and, go down that path. But interestingly enough, like drugs, one thing that is mimicked by love is we tend to go through withdrawal once we have that heartbreak. It's the same things that you go through with the withdrawal symptoms. And that, I think we could all point out different examples of people who like, oh, babe, I love you. No, you don't understand. We're in love. You can't break up with me. Oh, you can't stop our love. That whole thing. But that's part of the reason why we get so stupid about it when you have that heartbreak thing, and that part of the thing, the reason why stalkers.
You're a hard habit to break.
Well said.
But that's all I have.
We have a lot of starred comments to read.
Yes, we do. Do you want to pop some up? And
Yeah.
my eyes aren't
Let's
working
go through
great
that,
tonight.
but
That's
Mine are either.
I saw one from Indigo that will probably pop up.
Oh,
Yeah, there's quite a few that I started. So
They are just looking forward to being a part, and if you want to pop some other people on the panel with them next week, Susie, that would be fun too, I think.
Absolutely. So Indigo says the Bible was also written 50 years after the oral culture from which the scripture originated. They even found female prophets and scrolls to prove that was redacted at some point, probably KJ.
Yeah.
Teresa says, I used to be a Catholic. I now follow the Jesus way. Check out Aaron Abke. Not familiar with
Teresa, hello.
Okay. Indigo says it's when King Henry VIII made himself the head of the church and monarchy that things got even stickier, and we see the tension in Britain between Protestants and Catholics.
Yeah.
That's been an ongoing thing for a very long time. Prior to him, it would have been ancient Rome and Constantine pushing forced conversion to Catholicism. Heat My Short says, yeah, I was raised Catholic and I learned a lot of great stuff, but I'm not particularly religious anymore. I'm so glad about the morals that I've learned.
Absolutely.
Teresa says, the Bible was written by men. Men are fallible. Also interpret and reinterpret meanings in the Bible to support their own agendas.
Absolutely.
All the time.
Yeah.
That was something you could see a great example. Probably one of the, and the reason why I'm pointing to this is it's one of the easier examples.
Mhm.
You can see Nostradamus and his quatrains. A lot of what's been happening, because after the whole thing with 2001, or 9/11, they were taking his quatrains, kind of just tweaking them a little bit, just a
Mhm.
little. Just a little make it. See, I told you. He said this. Like,
Yeah.
no. And one of the big ones they point to is like, oh yeah, but that king dude, he died on a battlefield. Like, no, he was jousting. It was a fun event. They were
Right.
not on the battlefield. They were just jousting as a competition. So
Right.
yeah.
Indigo says there's a rich history in England, Scotland, Ireland, coming from tribal cultures that are more rooted in paganism, a term coined by the Catholic Church, but there are still active druids to this day in England. They are the only ones that can march and be at the center of the Stonehenge, which has been found to have deep roots with spiritualism. B says, I've always been driven to spirituality since I was a child. I've felt, smelled, and been saved by that force. An open heart and belief will change your perspective once experienced. That said, I find myself being pulled to a God.
Mm-hmm.
Indigo says, I found that once I took time to connect to myself and spirit, that I truly started healing inside me. Spirit is truly linked to emotional, physical, mental, etc.
Yeah.
Yes. Teresa says, according to Jesus, blood sacrifice is not God's will. Love is imperative for survival and connection, etc., and dopamine. And I think Mare was referring to that experiment that Ben was discussing
Yeah,
earlier. She
yeah,
said
he
that
was.
was a terrible
Neurons.
experiment, so incredibly
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Indigo says, studies have shown empathy is taught. So to me, that means love might be innate, but you have to learn empathy. And I think spirituality can lead to great empathy if the intention behind it is pure. That's food for thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Ooh, that's interesting stuff for
Interesting.
discussion next week.
Yeah. Okay. You taking notes, Susie?
Yeah, I have been. That was another thing. I'm like, okay, you read, I take notes.
And then it says, also, these things, like any group, don't start with the hardcore things. They start small, with small things, and increase it with time because you normalize the behavior.
Yes.
With regard to cults, yeah.
So,
And
small
you can-
increments, yeah.
And you can see that in the examples of the two communities we came from. I think
Yeah.
everybody, it is everybody here.
Everybody here,
Yes, it is.
Yeah, and the thing that keeps coming up was like, well, even if I didn't like the host, I wanted to be part of the group, part of
Absolutely.
the tribe, you know?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Just be part of the cool kids club. Yep. Indigo says Lord of the Flies was also a story of survival. Kids stranded on an island during the Blitz, the Second Great War. It creates fear to be different, and it goes back to Ben's point about the tribe. Heen 1028? Heen? Okay.
Heen.
I don't know where consciousness is stored, but I find it interesting that as soon as I stand up, I remember the word I was trying to come up with. And I think Mare had a comment. If I can find it here. It says, Heen, are you familiar with the doorway experiment? If you get up to get something, if you walk through a doorway, you have a good chance of forgetting what you're looking for.
That's so true.
Let's see here. Jimena says, because we tend to ignore red flags, especially in group settings, we start normalizing behaviors. And going back to Ben's point, I don't know about the rest of you, but I was actually a mod in one of those groups that we came from. And I found myself doing that more and more.
Mhm.
Something would happen, something would be said, and I would just say, "Oh, it's nothing to worry about. It was like a one-time thing. It was,
Mhm.
and I found myself normalizing these behaviors that I knew well and good were not normal. And just to stay part of that and to keep from rocking the boat, I would
Yeah,
normalize those things. And it
absolutely.
wasn't until after you get out of it that hindsight brings you back to every instance that you did that.
Yeah.
It's horrible. Mayor says there's a scientific theory that memories are false in that you don't remember an incident, you remember a previous memory of it. So it changes with each recall.
Yeah. Yeah, and
That's interesting.
that appears to be the case. Yeah, that memory, when we access memory, they're always in write mode. You think of a computer disk, you had read write, or
Mm-hmm.
you had the
Yeah.
little in the old days for those of us that are older than 20 years old, they had this little thing on these old fashioned things called discs, and most of us would tape over it, or go back even earlier on a cassette where we would tape over Chopin to record Black Sabbath. And yeah, you
With
would
good
tape over this one
reason.
part.
No,
Indigo says the telepathy tapes are fascinating. There were even studies in the 1980s into having psychic visions and premonition abilities. I'm not familiar with the telepathy.
I'm not either.
Tapes. I need to look into that.
I'm writing
a
it
little more.
down.
You guys
You
need
can-
to
you-
need to
you
watch
can-
that.
Yeah, you can find them on Spotify. I think they're even on
Spotify.
YouTube where you can see the video version. But yeah,
Oh, okay.
the first episode lays out what is so interesting about this, because you have kids
Mhm.
separated by physical barriers that are able to pick up on what the mother, the parent, whatever is thinking. They'd tell the person, this person cannot see them,
Mhm.
and they would have like a touch pad that they're having to use because they don't have the ability to speak. They'd have
Mhm.
this little tablet, and they would feed the mother a word, and then the kid off in the other room would be writing out that word at the same time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's
That
just
sounds like interesting
fascinating.
stuff. I'll have to check it out. I wrote it down too, Susie. Mayor says our oldest autistic grandson has more empathy than a lot of neurotypical people. That has been that's been my experience as well.
Me too.
Heat My Short says, I love all of the different types of love. I love almost everyone in some way. Everyone has lovable qualities in them.
that's really cool, Steve. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Indigo says, comment for the panel. Book, Second Sight by Judith Orloff, MD. This book was written by a psychiatrist who speaks about discovering her gift and navigating her career ethically and finding her spirituality. I write that one down too, Susie.
I did.
And she also went through basically a lot about the chakras and illness and the way getting stuck at certain developmental stages correlates with different types of diseases and things like that.
Okay. And then Mish says, we each bring our own unique insight and experiences and have open hearts willing to listen and share. We have lost so much knowledge via agendas through history. Coming together is where we find light.
Yeah.
Absolutely, Misha.
Yeah, and this group here and
A lot
in
of,
this village.
Insight into in the chat. There's a lot of insight in the chat tonight, and on. But
And I think we knew that this was going to be the kind of topic that a lot of people were going to have, something to say about.
yeah,
And that's why I think that this is a conversation that we need to
we're gonna keep having.
continue.
Yeah.
This is going to be a 5-6 part series, I have a feeling.
Yeah.
And I'm learning something more with each perspective. And I also love the diversity of the group that we have here. We've got some brilliant minds. We've got some really deep thinkers, and I don't know about you, but I've learned a lot.
Lady who skipped a grade in school. No, you don't get to be called a dummy. No,
I'm
it
just.
doesn't work that way.
Uh,
Still can't believe I referenced Charlie Sheen. I don't know why he
I know.
popped
I
in
was
my head.
cracking up.
Well, as soon as I heard
Really?
Richard, as soon as I heard Richard mention Maslow, you know, bells went off in my head because I'm a big Maslow fan. I know Ben is as well. We could do a whole
Well.
show just on Maslow's theory.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was kind of wondering where you're going with Charlie Sheen on that one.
Yeah, I
too.
was too. I saw the look on your face. But I did. I don't know if you could see it, but I wrote.
Well, you know Ben's got tiger blood in him, so. Winning.
Oh man. No.
Well, guys, I think I'm going to go ahead and call it for tonight, and let's
All
pick
right.
this up again maybe next week.
Yeah.
I really, I'm enjoying this conversation, and a lot of it is so new to me because I'm just now kind of, getting comfortable with the whole spirituality side of my belief system and everything. And so, just to be with people that accept that and accept that science and religion and spirit and everything can work
Coexist.
together. Yeah,
Yes,
can coexist
absolutely.
is very eye opening for me, and I'm just I kind of feel like the kid that's like this, just listening.
Yeah. I
So,
do
is there
too.
anything that y'all want to say before we go?
One thing that came up, Richard put it in the group chat, not in our private chat.
Yeah,
I didn't know if you wanted to plug that
No,
or
that's-
not.
that's fine.
Ned's get together, or let's see if I have her. Where is it?
Yeah, you gotta play it, Ben. Come on.
Yeah, can you
Oh,
post
good
it?
grief.
Or can we actually can I post it? Come to
Yeah,
think of
yeah,
it.
absolutely.
Awake Ned by the looking glass reflection in the house. Hey, Awake Ned, nice to see you.
That never gets old. And that is how Ned was born.
I wondered about that for a long time, and I thought there's got to be a story, but
Mhm.
I was like, man, maybe I'll just stumble onto it, and I did.
Okay, this is not going to let me connect to YouTube to actually post the link myself. If somebody else,
Yeah, I think you have to
from
post it
private
in the comment section at the end of the live, Rich. It won't
Yeah,
let you post it in that live
Right.
chat. Yeah.
Are
Are you talking about the thing that she's doing after
Yeah.
us? Okay.
Oops,
the
I just
Google
knocked
Meet?
my mic. Oh, good grief.
What is
Yeah.
I'm not familiar with what she's doing.
when is she starting? Because we could always do a room raid too.
I
if she's-
think right when we
after we're
end.
done here. Yep,
Yeah, she's gonna do it. as soon as we end.
it's a Google Meet to watch a movie which apparently has a number of features related to this. It's
Oh.
the one that won several Oscars recently. Actually won
Oh, I
Everything
know.
Everywhere All at Once.
Yes.
So what is it going to be on? And I'll try to
It's a wild
Google
movie.
Meets.
on Google. Hold on.
Yeah, it's a little
Will it be
little
nice?
late for me. I've got tomorrow's a work day for me.
Yeah.
So I gotta
Yeah,
get up
that's
early,
why I was
but,
going to cut it short tonight because it's
Yeah,
on Google Meets.
yeah.
Yeah, it's basically like
Hey, you guys take copious notes.
Yes.
I've seen the movie, but I'm interested to understand what the underlying themes are about.
What's the
And-
movie? I missed that.
Oh, it's a wild movie. It's really it's a mind
it called?
bender.
Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Everything
Yes.
Oh,
It's about being
oh,
hyper
that's the name of the movie.
That's what-
Okay.
and being
Okay.
able to transition
hyper.
between different timelines and different
Oh,
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, I kept thinking, when Heat My Shorts said it, I kept thinking, is that the lyrics to oh gosh, what was the name of the song? Life in the Fast Lane, everything all the time.
No,
oh,
but it
yeah.
got
That's our
Michelle
buddy
Yeoh
Ben, always living in the
and,
past.
it got Michelle Yeoh and the actor who played Short Round both won Oscars.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
So Mish, if you would, as soon as we end this, if you would go put the link in the comments, then
Yeah.
everybody can go there. And
Yeah.
Ben's
you know.
got it in the chat.
oh,
in-
do you? Did
At
you
least
put it
in
the chat?
horizontal.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Hmm.
Oh, yeah, it is in there. Okay. Thanks, man. Well, thanks, guys. I had a really
Yeah,
good
thank
time.
you
I
so
can't
much.
wait to continue
And
this
we will
discussion.
definitely get together. All of us, other people can join. We can always bounce in and out, whatever we
Mhm.
want to do. I am just like really, I'm learning so much, and I don't know, just I can't even explain it. It feels like an awakening or something for me to be able to share these things,
And it's only
and,
just
and, and
begun,
and
Susie.
it's only just begun, and to feel so accepted and everything. So thank you all very much.
Mhm.
So I guess I'm gonna go for now, and I'll just let all of y'all just go ahead and exit out as you go. I'm gonna go ahead
All
and
right.
end the stream. I love you guys, and we will be back tomorrow.
Thanks, guys. Have a great night, everybody.
Thank you.
You too.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Hope you enjoyed the show. So glad you were here. We meet here most days. We're but first coffee, and you're welcome here. We talk about hard subjects, but we also laugh a lot. If you have a loss or win, we will cheer for you. We're but first coffee, and you are safe here. So hit those like and subscribe buttons, notifications set to all. You don't wanna miss a show, because this is your home to y'all. So hit those like and subscribe buttons, notifications set to all. You don't wanna miss a show, because this is your home to y'all. So hit those like and subscribe buttons, notifications set to all.